The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para-X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Oh, hell no!
Whatever.
The following program contains opinions expressed by the Dead Zone. If you find this broadcast offensive, lighten up, candy ass.
What?
Oh my gosh.
It's a radio show.
Hell yeah! That's what I'm talking about.
Power up request received. Initiating systems. Powering up transmitters.
Welcome to the Dead Zone.
Wait a minute.
Hear this.
August 29th, Dead Zone Paranormal Radio Show. Welcome back. Our guest tonight's going to be an old friend of the show, Dan Allen. He is the owner and operator of Randolph County Asylum and Blackford County Jail. Blackford County Jail? I think so. We've been there a few times at Randolph, and believe me, if you haven't been, go. Lots of activity. But before we do that, of course, here's Michelle with Paranormal News.
Hey, it's Michelle again, doing paranormal news and events on the Dead Zone. This week's episode is brought to you again by me, Michelle Poi, Associate Broker at Seasons of Indiana Real Estate. Contact me for all your real estate needs through my Dead Zone email, michelle.deadzone@gmail.com. That's Michelle with two L's, MICHELLE .deadzone@gmail.com. This episode is also brought to you by K.D. Wakefield, the author of a new suspense thriller called Murderous Masquerade. This is available in paperback or Kindle, so order your copy today on Amazon.
Paranormal news.
Hey guys, I was doing some research trying to find a recent paranormal news article that I could read for you guys and talk about, but I really only found one that was of any interest to me on Coast to Coast AM. This was posted June 17th, 2021. Murder suspect in England blames centuries-old gin for double slaying. A murder suspect in England has put forward something of a strange supernatural defense for a double slaying that he is accused of committing, as the man contends that a centuries-old jinn is really responsible for the crime. According to a local media report, here we go again with names that I cannot pronounce. Shahbaz Khan is currently on trial for the murders of Dr. Saman Mir Sakarvi and her daughter Vian Mangrio, who were killed in October of 2020 in the community of Burnley. A contractor by trade who had done previous work at the family's home, he had been seen entering the residence on the day prior to the crime, and in a subsequent search of his house was discovered to be in possession of jewelry and money that had belonged to Dr. Sakarvi. Prosecutors in England understandably believe that they have an airtight case against Khan, which likely explains why he contends that a jinn was actually to blame for the double murder. Upon his arrest, Khan was placed in a jail cell wherein he threw himself across the room and onto his bed in an incident that he claimed was an attack by an invisible evil entity. In an interview with police the next day, the accused killer began undulating and informed them that they were speaking to a 620-year-old supernatural spirit named Robert Smith Wood, who happened to live in Dr. Sakarvi's home. The entity went on to claim that he had grown upset with alterations made to the residence and, in turn, smashed a mirror as well as moved a table to indicate his displeasure with the changes. At some point following the interview, Khan apparently reclaimed control of his body, as he later insisted that he had no idea how the mother and daughter were killed. Asserting that they were perfectly fine when he left the residence, he argued that the jinn infesting their home must have committed the crime. As one might imagine, prosecutors are not buying Khan's story, arguing to the jury at his currently unfolding trial that the man's actions while in custody were simply his way of trying to set up his defense to say he had been attacked in his cell by a supernatural spirit. They went on to muse to the court, was it real in his head that he threw himself across his cell to his bed, or was it a feeble attempt to pretend there was something wrong with his mental state? Ultimately, they called Khan's defense absolute nonsense, declaring that Dr. Sakarvi and her daughter were not killed by supernatural spirits. Beyond the pilfered property found in the man's possession, prosecutors also suggest premeditation on the part of the accused killer, as, following the double murder, the family's home had been set on fire, while web searches on his phone centered around whether or not fire could destroy DNA. And so, unless Khan's attorney can somehow find a way to get Robert the Djinn to take the stand, he's likely to be headed off to prison in the not-too-distant future.
Your source for everything paranormal, Para-X.
Now, I tried to find out if there were any other recent reports of demonic possession being claimed as the reasoning behind their actions. And what I did find was on WOWO.com. This is a radio station. They did a very short story back November 15, 2018, called Suspect Claims Demonic Possession in Murder Case. This was in Fort Wayne, Indiana. A Fort Wayne man accused of murdering his own mother last month told police he was possessed by demons and Adolf Hitler. That's according to court documents in the case of 34-year-old Jason Stace. The Journal-Gazette reports his lawyer filed the documents to ask a judge for a mental evaluation in order to see if he is competent to stand trial. The paper reports his attorney also indicated that they'll be relying on a defense of mental disease or defect. Police say that he admitted to punching, biting, and choking Joy Stace in their home on October 24th. So then I found another one. Now this is on NBCWashington.com. And this one, hold on, gotta scroll up. This one was dated May 24th, 2018. Suspected gunman spoke online about demon possession. The man suspected of shooting 3 people inside an Oklahoma City restaurant before being fatally shot by bystanders had no obvious connection to the victims or the restaurant and was legally authorized to carry a firearm. Investigators are trying to determine a motive behind the Thursday night attack that wounded 4 people, according to Oklahoma City Police Captain Bo Matthews. He said the only interaction police had with the suspected gunman, 28-year-old Alexander Tilghman, was during a domestic assault and battery call when Tilghman was 13. A police report from that 2003 incident indicates that Tilghman was arrested after his mother told police he punched her several times during a dispute over a vacuum cleaner. Matthews said Thursday's shooting appeared to be random, but noted that Tilghman drove to the restaurant and wore protective gear for his ears and eyes. It looked like his mind was made up that he was going to discharge his firearm once he got there. Matthews stressed that the investigation was ongoing and confirmed that Tilghman's mental health was being looked into. On a Facebook page that police said belonged to Tilghman, the man posted a video in which he claims his television is possessed by the devil. The page uses the same profile photo as a YouTube channel where a man that appears to be Tilghman also describes demons possessing his TV and being surrounded by computers. He calmly begs for help from a real human, saying he's suicidal, lonely, and really losing it. The director of the LGBT rights group Freedom Oklahoma, Troy Stevenson, said Tilghman is the same man who distributed flyers across Oklahoma City earlier this year, warning of demons taking over people's bodies, and a reporter with the LGBT publication The Gaily conducted an interview in January with Tilghman, who warned of demons in cloned transsexual bodies. Flyers with similar messages were plastered all over a vehicle that Tilghman drove, said Ryan Biolak. who said he frequently saw Tilghman at his apartment complex in northwest Oklahoma City. Bulak said he saw Tilghman acting strangely Wednesday night. He was twitchy, grabbing his hair, and acting weird. I was uncomfortable and definitely wanted to get away from him. A man who identified himself as Tilghman's brother told television station KOCO that Tilghman needed mental health treatment, saying, "Nobody reached out to him, he was crying for help." Tilghman was licensed as an armed security guard, which authorized him to carry firearms, said Gerald Conkler, General Counselor for the Oklahoma Council on Law Enforcement Education and Training. The council certifies law enforcement officers and other armed personnel across the state. Obtaining such a license requires a background check and at least 72 hours of training. A woman who answered the phone at the home believed to belong to Tilghman's mother declined to comment when contacted by the Associated Press. Police said Tilghman was armed with a pistol when he opened fire inside Louis on the Lake around 6:30 p.m. on that Thursday. A 39-year-old woman and 2 girls were shot and wounded, while an unarmed man broke his arm while trying to flee. All 4 victims were in good condition Friday, according to the police. Matthews, the police spokesman, praised the 2 citizens who retrieved firearms from their vehicles and shot Tilghman outside the restaurant. They were able to shoot the suspect and put an end to a very dangerous situation. Now, the story goes on quite a bit longer, so if you are interested in reading that, again, that is on NBCWashington.com. Now, the next story that I picked is one that's known a little bit more. This is the Hartford Courant. The killer's defense was demon possession. This was dated April 12, 2014, but the incident took place quite a bit before that. At first, the 1981 stabbing death of 40-year-old Alan Bono of Brookfield looked like a routine argument gone awry. Police referred to it as an open and shut case. But then came Arnie Cheyenne Johnson's defense, the devil made him do it. With the help of a pair of famed paranormal investigators, Johnson's defense attorneys sought to prove the 19-year-old killer was innocent because he had been possessed at the time of the killing. It would be the first time a possession defense was used in an American courtroom. Bono was stabbed several times in the chest and stomach on the lawn of Brookfield Kennels, which he managed, around 6:30 p.m. on February 16, 1981. About an hour later, police arrested Johnson, described as a small, blonde, fair-skinned man, on a murder charge. The 2 men had allegedly been arguing over Johnson's girlfriend before the stabbing occurred. Days after the stabbing, clergy members, paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, Johnson's mother, and his girlfriend all claimed Johnson had been possessed at the time of the killing. The Warrens told police that since July 1980, Johnson had participated in at least 3 exorcisms involving his girlfriend's 11-year-old brother David, who purportedly had been inhabited by 43 demons. During one of the rites, the Warrens told police Johnson leapt up and cried to the demon, "Come into me, I'll fight you, come into me." The Courant reported on February 27, 1981. From that time on, he was possessed, they said. Although police ordinarily would disregard such unusual claims, the Bridgeport, here's another one, diocese's involvement changed things. Brookfield priests called in the diocese after they heard the 11-year-old's story that he had recently entered a Newton house, sat on a waterbed, and suddenly was confronted by an elderly man with hooves, whose image was soon joined by men in grotesque costumes, the Warrens told police, according to the Courant. Shortly after Bono was killed, the diocese stopped commenting on the boy's case, but a spokesman did acknowledge that a priest had been assigned to investigate the boy. The spokesman told the Courant it was the first time the diocese had assigned an investigator to look into diabolical possession. Johnson was present for the exorcisms and soon began to display violent behavior. At one point, he reportedly put his fist through a chest of drawers, growling like an animal, and then couldn't remember the incident, the Courant reported. "We knew this case would end in tragedy. It was inevitable," Lorraine Warren told The Current. "But Arnie was the last one we would have ever thought it could happen to." Before Johnson was indicted on March 19, 1981, Waterbury lawyer Martin J. Manella offered to take on his case for free. Manella's plan to pursue the unprecedented demon possession defense was widely publicized. Manella said he hoped to subpoena the priest involved in the exorcism and hoped they would break tradition and speak about the rites. Though police investigated the Warrens' claims, they maintained that Bono was stabbed after a fight over Deborah Glassell, Johnson's 26-year-old girlfriend. In April, Johnson's lawyers gained permission to examine the clothing and tissue remains of Bono, who had been cremated. They said the absence of blood, rips, or wounds could prove that demons were involved. As the case progressed toward trial, the Warrens and Manella drew criticism from their peers who said they were involved in the case for personal gain. Typical of the criticism of the Warrens are comments by mentalist George Kresge, better known as the Amazing Kreskin, who argues that the Brookfield case is simply a means for the couple to prey on the superstitions of the public and build up their annual lecture revenues. They have an excellent vaudeville act, a good roadshow. It's just that this case more involves clinical psychologists than it does them, Kresge said in his story. Local attorneys said Manella was representing Johnson to rake in the publicity and that the legal community didn't take the possession defense seriously. Both the Warrens and Manella stood by their involvement in this case. Now, if you hadn't heard about this story, this is where The Conjuring had come from. This was the story behind that movie and book. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like to read the rest of that story, that's on current.com, COURANT.com. And that is it for this week. I hope you enjoyed the 3 parts of this story. Actually, I guess there were 4. The 4 parts of this story. And anyway, if you know of any real demonic possession that caused people to act out of character, email me at michelle.deadzone@gmail.com. michelle.deadzone@gmail.com. Thanks so much, guys.
Hello, this is Christopher St. Booth, and you're listening to The Dead Zone.
Hey, this is Lee. Has the pandemic got you going crazy like it does us? Well, just a reminder, Poasttown Elementary School presents Non-Con 6, Middleton, Ohio. A legit haunted school, an event with tons of people already signing up. It's all over the Facebook page. And it's free. Pretty much it's free. You got to check it out. September 24th, 25th, and 26th. Just Google Non-Con 6. And for more information, you can contact Jason Snyder, Keith Age, or Daryl Weissman. Are you in a band or know of a band that is currently unsigned and looking for airplay for free? We want to hear from you. One of the main goals of the show is to help promote up-and-coming bands and artists as well as our paranormal community. Getting your name out there can be tough, especially these days. Shoot us an email, deadzonebooking@gmail.com. If your music fits our genre, hard rock, 80s, 90s metal, and new metal, we want to help. Okay, before we call Dan, we're going to play a couple of tracks. Comatose by She, and this one, Poltergeist by Void Vader. Check it out.
This is Keith Age, and you're listening to The Dead Zone.
My name is David Walton. I am a vocal performer for What Are You Afraid Of? Horror and Paranormal show. And I have carried the burden of a terrible secret. I am actually what is offensively called a ghost. For years now I have concealed my ectoplasmic existence from my friends and family in fear of a common prejudice against ghosts, or what we like to call the disembodied. I have existed frightened of being discovered, unable to do physical acts that the embodied take for granted, such as walking a squirrel or drinking a glass of vitamin E milk fresh squeezed from a whale. I grew depressed and even considered acts of self-harm or reincarnation, which is suicide for the disembodied. Such movies as Ghostbusters and its sequels drove my feelings of disenfranchisement, and I began looking for help, only to encounter painful exorcisms in the houses I haunted. Then I met two good people, it says here, Fox and Phil, at What Are You Afraid Of? Horror and Paranormal. And they helped me take control of my own life. Now, it is my choice whether I wish to make phantom bounds in the night, appear at the foot of your bed in darkness, or make your walls bleed. If you are a disembodied person like I am, and you're living a lie, What Are You Afraid Of? Can help you too. They are on at 9 p.m. on Friday nights at Para X Radio, leaving plenty of time for midnight haunting activities, and can be found on all major podcast services. Listen to their paranormal stories, interviews, humorous sketches and horror fiction to know that you are not alone. And if you are a member of the Embodied, don't forget, you are only a single heart attack or tumour away from becoming one of us. This is David Walton. See you on the other side. Or as I call it, this side. And that is the end of a perfect day.
Okay, and now back to business.
If all radio stations in town were palm trees, we'd be the one with the biggest coconuts.
Now, here are the one, the only
Dead Zone.
Okay, over here. Here we go. Calling Dan Allen. Hello? Are you there, bud?
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah.
There's going to be a bit of delay, like I said. Well, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
So how's it been going? How's everything been going? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're kind of coming and going. Let's see if I got a good signal. Yep. Okay, good.
Okay. I was going to say, how's everything been going for the past, it's been like 2 years or maybe 3?
Oh, it's really starting to really go. The more shows we're on, the more people want to come in and see it one way or another. History tours, or do their own investigations, or just check out the architecture.
Right. Now we've been, and we're talking. Well, right now we're going to talk about Randolph. I mean, we've been there on several occasions, and that place is phenomenal. I mean, it's great. I mean, we had, I'm going to say, one of the best K2 and EVP responses down in Ida's cell, right? I mean, it was amazing. That's on our website too, by the way. You guys can check that out.
Yeah, I will. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Glad to hear you got some good results here.
Oh man, it was fantastic. Yeah. For those of you that don't know Randolph County Asylum Infirmary, can you give us a little background history on the place?
Well, the building that's here now was finished being built in 1899, but the grounds itself has had some kind of structure here since 1820s.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's been a care like an asylum, the Sikh asylum.
Right.
And so a lot of the buildings. First one was to just take in the people that weren't too, I guess they weren't drawing a blank.
I know. I do that all the time. Yeah, no problem.
I know. I'm trying to think of the destitute. Yeah, that's the word.
Right.
They were
poor,
destitute,
like
and
a poor
no
farm.
place to go.
Yeah, a poor farm, basically.
Basically. But then they rented the people out.
Right.
I guess to help pay for the poor farm, so they went and worked on farms and such. And then the first permanent structure was built in 1851, and on a beautiful big foundation, and then a wooden structure.
Yeah.
And of course, everything back in the day was the heat, the light, cooking. I mean, just a plethora of things was done by fire. So that building lasted about 2 years.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
You got people that aren't mentally there carrying around oil lanterns, and
yeah.
So I'm surprised it lasted 2 years.
Yeah. So the fire.
Turned out 2 years later, then they.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Built the second permanent structure in 1856, and it lasted till the 1890s, and it pretty much dissolved because the brick was fired on site, and they couldn't get the brick hot enough. So basically, once the outer, somewhat hardened shell was weathered away, then it pretty much turned back into clay.
Right.
So then in 1896, they started building the one that's here now, and stands today. So
did they ever?
So it's had for a long time. What's that?
Did they ever determine the cause of the fire? What actually happened? Who caused it? Or a mystery? I don't know. I think Ted might have told us.
I
don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Ted knows either. I can't say that we ever found out the cause of it.
Right.
But Ted did find out nobody was hurt or injured in the fire.
Okay, well,
so apparently it wasn't like the boiler blew up. So it must have been started with maybe an oil lantern or something.
Right.
Where they just couldn't put it out, or a kitchen fire.
Yeah.
And they were able to get everybody out.
Right.
So then, so when they built the last building that stands today, they had that 1851 foundation and said, well, let's just build it back on that. So the building that was finished in 1899 stands on the 1851 foundation.
Right. And that,
so that's got a lot of history in the basement.
Right, the basement, and that basement is where the activity that we caught basically happened. I mean, that is where she, I keep saying, referencing, I'm sorry, Ida, with her cell, that is where she was kept, right?
Yes, she was kept in the basement. A lot of times in places like that, even in the hospitals and such, if they've given up on somebody, they're just getting progressively worse. They can't figure it out. Alzheimer's would be one.
Right.
Dementia and a lot of other diseases, they would put them in the basement. So apparently they'd had given up on her.
Right.
Figuring that she wasn't going to gain better.
Right. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it kind of harkens back to menopause in a certain way, because people back then didn't know about hot flashes and that kind of thing, and that was affecting her as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bringing back a lot of memories.
That was part of it.
Yeah, bringing back a lot of memories, man.
The other part was...
Yeah.
The other part was syphilis, so...
Yeah.
That'll eat your brain too.
Yeah. I mean, not only her, but I mean, there were a few, like the person that was basically thrown out the window on the second floor. That's another kind of hot area there too, right?
Yeah, we were up there the other day and was getting quite a bit of evidence. And that, of course, in the journals it said fell out of the window, but we've had the family come through and say, yeah, that was her great uncle or something, and told us their side of the story. So,
right,
which seems more logic than just falling out the window.
Right.
So, had a hand.
Yeah, I mean, like
had a hand going out the window.
Yeah, like in the tour, Ted will tell you some of these stories, and it was not only for mentally disabled and that kind of thing, but you also had kind of a thug group going upstairs, right?
During the wars, yeah.
Yeah.
During World War II. Mm-hmm.
Right.
If you weren't mentally fit to be in the war, then you had problems, and if they ended up out here, then
yeah,
you had even more problems.
Right. Then the clique starts, and a lot of bad things happen. But it is a beautiful building, man. I love it. I hope we can come back someday. I know the Booth brothers have filmed there, and I know I think the Ghost Adventure crew had filmed there too, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And we've had quite a few of those groups come through. We're still looking for some more of the some of the groups to come through. But I guess if you're out of L.A. or Las Vegas, pretty far east. So
right.
But hopefully they'll get this way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's a great place, and it's located in Winchester, Indiana. If you guys want to go check it out, you have to. It's awesome. I guarantee you. And the website for it is, I'm sorry, what is the website for it?
Yeah, the website is, it's under savingtheoldproperties.com, or you could look it up under Haunted Randolph County.
Right.
.com as well.
Right, and like I said, of course, again, there's numerous DVDs that you can rent by the Booth. Well, one at least I know of by the Booth Brothers, and like I say, Ghost Adventures has anyone other than Ghost Adventures been there as far as network TV?
We did have Paranormal Lockdown.
Okay, yeah, all right.
They were there at first, pretty much after we first got it.
Right.
And then we had, let me think of the name. It'll come to me.
I know.
I can't.
Yeah, I know.
Because it doesn't sound like a paranormal group.
Right.
Hopefully you can remember for me.
Oh, yeah, you're asking the wrong dude.
But, it'll come to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've had quite a few groups out here, and all got pretty good evidence, and really like the place. And I think the true greatness of this place is nobody's ever, once the county, we got it off the county, and nobody was the middleman, and came in and took all the nice stuff out of it, because it's still all in here.
Everything's
the transoms and the
everything's still there. Yeah,
pretty much all original.
Right. Yeah, like I say, we've got the EVP up on our website, on RIP, Rural Indiana Paranormal website, plus a video that was caught in the basement there too. If you guys want to go check it out, it's an orb that comes down and makes, orbs are dust, right? Okay, fine, whatever. An orb comes down and makes a direct, hard right turn. Now, dust doesn't do that, and there's no breeze down there, so you guys gotta check it out. It's really, really cool. And thank you very much for having us there, by the way. We were also there for the, years ago, it was the, world's largest ghost hunt. I don't know if you remember that. But yeah, that was great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. Okay, let me ask you this. What has been your most frightening, startling experience there for you?
I would say it had to have been one of the first ones. I was staying the first night by myself, and I'd stayed here before, but by myself I have. But anyway, so I was staying here by myself, and it still wasn't even dark yet, and I was in the basement, and I didn't know if I was talking to a friend on the phone. I didn't know if I'd lose my reception or what, so I just stand in the where I could still see out,
right,
and where through windows or something, because I thought I could lose reception. Anyway, so I was talking, and I had my back to the mechanical room. Mm-hmm. The doors were open, and there was still a lot of paint on the floor, and I heard somebody running up behind me.
Right.
And phone in my right hand, and with my left arm, I went to swing to knock this person off their feet.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that we had the place, and people broke into it while it said empty.
Yeah.
A lot of people did, so I thought somebody broke in. Well, I put everything I had into that swing to knock them off their feet.
Yeah.
Kind of like in slow motion.
Yeah.
Then I put everything, I thought, oh, shoot, that could be somebody's wife
Oh, yeah.
trying to trick me.
Right.
So I put everything I had to stop the swing. So anyway, I see the person coming up behind me real quick, and as I stopped the swing, I put so much effort into stopping that too. As I was arching my back, thinking they were going to hit me, then I end up taking my eyes off them for a second. But right before I took my eyes off of them, they shuffled their feet together and folded their hands in front of them and put their head down.
Oh.
And then I lost view of him, and when I regained, he was gone. But it was such a little person, maybe 5 feet tall, less than 100 pounds, and it was sweltering hot that night. It was in August, and this person had a full thick winter coat on, with stuffing coming out, some kind of dark pants, and towels wrapped around their head vertically, like they were trying to keep their ears warm.
Right. That's odd.
So
that's very odd. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I thought was going to be something mean ended up not.
Right.
Well, I found out about 6 months later. That some patients were being over-medicated, and the state found them standing in lines that even the patients didn't know where the lines went to, and I suspect they probably had to have their hands to themselves, eyes forward, and don't say a word, and maybe when this whatever saw me standing there, he wanted to be second in line.
Right. So he was going to knock you out.
So it kind of made sense after that.
So he was going to knock you out of the way so he could be next. Right. Wow.
No, actually, he stood right behind me.
Oh, behind you. Okay.
Yeah, right before I took my eyes off him, he just stood. Yeah. So like he wanted to be second in line.
Right. One more thing I didn't bring up.
So it kind of made sense afterwards.
Right. One more thing I wanted to bring up. When we were there, we talked to a former employee of yours, and we were trying to kind of help out a little bit, but there is a cemetery there with unmarked graves that we're trying to help you guys find.
Yes.
And mark, but has anything come of that, or what's going on? Do you know any more than you did like 4 years ago?
No. What we need to do is get some ground penetrating radar.
Absolutely.
Because these people that are, it's the Pulper's grave.
Yeah.
And these people that were forgotten in life,
right,
and forgotten in death, we don't want to really be parking on them. So we'll try to see if we can find, find out where they're at.
I know there's one strip that you have determined that there are bodies, there are graves there. There's like a small strip. It's not very large, but there has to be a massive grave site back there somewhere, right?
Yeah. Since 1900, we know of at least 51 people and one mummy back there.
Right. One mummy.
So, one mummy.
One mummy.
I guess somebody, the strange thing about the mummy is that somebody at a mortuary was trying their own embalming or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And so they had this person, and so when they were done trying, they just put them in a closet. And so these other two guys thought, well, we'll just take him around, wrap him up, take him around, say he's a mummy.
Oh, like a slideshow.
So they went around for
a sideshow kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, a sideshow. So they were making money off them. Well, after a few weeks, the mummy started smelling pretty bad, and then the cops were called, and so this was the closest place they could put him, and so they put the mummy in the graveyard.
Put the carcass in the graveyard. Wow. And does anyone know who this poor person was, or just another anonymous? I
believe Ted does.
He does.
I believe Ted does know who the name of it is. Yeah.
Right.
So when you come here for the tours, you'll have to ask him.
Right. Yeah. And that's just bad. Okay. One more. Okay, we're going to move on from Randolph to the Blackburn County Jail. How about that? Now, you are the owner-operator of that establishment as well. So what's going on with that place? That's one place we have never been.
Yes.
And we would love to. And hopefully we will be able to get there at some point. But tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that's where basically everything started.
Okay.
And we bought the place in '96, the old jail. It went up for auction, but like 11 people wanted it.
Yeah.
9 of them wanted to tear it down.
Yeah.
Another one wanted to make it a restaurant, and the third wanted to turn into apartments.
Oh my gosh, really?
Nobody was going to be nice to it.
Right.
So we end up, we bought it at silent bid. We put a bid in and was trying to buy it, but one person did outbid us in the silent bid. And so we said, we talked to him, asked what he's going to do with it. He goes, nothing. I don't care what happens to the building. I just want the generator in the basement.
Oh, man.
So we asked him to pull his bid. Yeah, pull his bid, and we'll give him the generator.
Yeah.
And that's how we end up with it.
Wow.
So
now, there's been some famous people there, right? I mean, incarcerated there at one point, right?
Well, John Dillinger was there, but not as a prisoner.
Oh, okay.
When he got out of jail, when he got out of jail after learning how to rob banks, he, since he was from Indianapolis area, he cased out 3 banks to rob, and Blackford County was one of them.
Right.
And so he did Delville, Blackford, and Salina, Ohio.
Right.
And so he, so when you go up to check the place out, how he learned to rob banks was go in, befriend the sheriff and staff, and really get to know them.
Yeah.
Know their habits.
Right.
Go to the bank same way.
Right.
Once you learn, then so they said he was quite the card player up there.
Yeah.
Now at this time he wasn't wanted. So, and then one day all 3 banks were robbed.
Right. So that's how it all started then.
And
so that's how his career. So that's how his career started, and basically you just said that's where your career started as an owner-operator, right? Isn't that weird?
Right. And well, see, that history would have got torn down had we let if we didn't try to save it. So luckily we did save it.
Right. Now there's got to be more to.
He was able to get it.
There has to be more to the history of that particular. When was that built, by the way?
That was recently. I found out it was built in 1876.
1876. Okay, so there has to be history there. I mean, on the not only history, but paranormal activity history. You know what I mean? There has to be.
You would think it'd have to be for sure.
Yeah.
And when you got the history, you got the everything that would have gone through the energies and whatever you suspect, if you believe in ghosts or just even like the architecture.
Right.
I mean, it's all history, and
right.
I'm glad that my brother was able to save it.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, history-wise, like you say, architecture, paranormal being that, that environment alone, it seems to me like just a jail, just like any other place, any other prison, the despair, the negative energy, there has to be something, right? But who knows?
Yeah, you would think.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And believe it or not, I don't I don't ghost hunt much because I love saving the old buildings, and I get bored quick.
Oh my God! Yeah,
for people that can't sit still.
Well, you don't want to be a ghost hunter.
That is not the thing to do.
You don't want to be a paranormal investigator if you don't like sitting still, because it's not like TV, right? I mean, it's sitting on your butt for 8 hours.
Exactly.
You're right. Well, Dan, man, I thank you for coming
hours
on.
And hours. Yeah. And
excuse me. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay. Anyway, so I just wanted to let you know that the people that's been on here, I'm hearing something else. Anyway, I'm sorry. Kindred Spirits.
Yes.
Was the other show I was trying to think of.
There you go. Yeah, I know those guys. Yeah.
And they did a great job.
Now, have they been to the jail, or
it's just
have they been to the jail or just the asylum?
No.
Okay. Right.
Just the asylum.
Just the asylum. Okay.
Yeah, and we're really we hope they come back, but we do have let's see, we have the jail, we have the asylum, we have a school in Ohio, a church, and a speakeasy. So we have quite a few more places. So
you have one in Ohio, like Post Town?
It's kind of like Post Town, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we even know Daryl, and we thought once we get it open, then we'll just share back and forth with Daryl, and
right,
and hopefully that if you like our place, and you'll like Daryl's place as well.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
All right, man. Again, we're going to run out of time. I appreciate you coming on, and we hope that you will come back on again, because there's a lot more we're going to talk about, because you just told me you have 2 more places that I didn't know about. So we're going to have you back on and tell us about those too. All right.
Well, good.
All right, man. Thank you very much. And guys, the websites are, go ahead and let them know.
The website is Saving the Old Properties at savingtheoldproperties.com, and then or hauntedrandolphcounty.com.
Okay.
Or you can look us up on Facebook at Randolph County Asylum as well.
All right. There you go. So, okay. You guys hear that? Check it out. I'm telling you, man. Randolph.
To see y'all.
Yeah, Randolph is awesome. If you don't go, then you don't need to be calling yourself an investigator, because it's so cool. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you later, okay?
Okay. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Bye.
I found it at last! Marla's Sacred Cauldron. This is the legendary artifact that has been whispered about in hushed tones for hundreds of years, and now it's mine! All
mine! Who dares defile the sanctity of my castle walls? Step away from the cauldron, you impertinent, muddy-metaled maltworm.
Never! I've spent half my lifetime trying to discover your age-old secret of stirring the cauldron.
Oh, for Merlin's sake, that's no deep, dark secret. Just tune into the Para X Radio Network Thursday nights at 9 o'clock Eastern for more cauldron stirring than you can shake a wand at.
Oh, well, in that case, I guess I don't need to take up any more of your time, so I guess I'll be going.
Not just yet. We've got a little unfinished business to take care of.
That's Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern on the Para X Radio Network.
Your daddy could never quite walk right. This is the Dead Zone Paranormal Radio Show.
Thanks for listening.